So this episode is how you can sell anything to anyone. So first thing you need to understand about this subject of sales and about selling more of your product or service or whatever it is that you sell, your business, your investment package, whatever, that we are all in sales. We are all in sales all of the time. You have to understand that, because once you do understand that, you realize how much of an important skill it is. And once you realize how much of an important skill it is, hopefully you will give it more time and attention. You will focus on it more, because learning how to sell and how to do the things I'm going to talk about in this episode, if you perfect this, if you get this right, every part of your life gets better. You're more confident. You're better with your partner. You're better with your children. You're better with your staff. You're a better businessman or businesswoman. You're a better leader. You're a better motivator. You're a better content creator. You're a better everything. When you get better at sales and this skill that I'm talking to you about, that I'm very passionate about, trust me, everything starts to get better. So I'm going to share with you some of my tips on how to sell more and how to sell anything to anyone. Certainly to how to increase your sales if you're currently in a sales environment. Okay. So first thing that you need to do is understand that we're all in sales. Once you get your head around that, you'll start to give it more attention and learn. And these are some tips that I'm going to give you, which will help you sell more. Okay. So first one, a phrase that I use a lot is like, listen, trust, buy. Okay. So this is the order that things have to happen in order for someone to buy your product or service. Starting with like, they've got to like you first. Okay. Once they start to like you, they'll then start to listen to you. If you say the right things, they'll then start to trust you. And then and only then will they buy from you. Like, listen, trust, buy. Okay. So get them to like you. You do that with eye contact, body language, how you present yourself, smiling, all of that, right? Finding a common ground. When they start to listen to you, that's when it comes into how you communicate. How do you say the words? What's your body language like? How do you present yourself? Do you come across as credible and professional? And if you say the right things in the listen section, they like you first, they'll start to listen to you. Say the right things and listen, they'll then start to trust you. And then once they trust you, they will buy from you because they like you and trust you, okay? Imagine if someone is not very likable, they're a bit of a knobhead, but they're very good at what they do. A lot of the time you wouldn't buy from that person just because you don't like them. But imagine if you like them and they come across as not very professional or not very credible, or they clearly don't know what they're doing. You maybe might buy something off them, but it's unlikely. People buy off people that they like, definitely. But if you can make them like you and trust you, then they will buy whatever you're selling. Okay. This is the process for sales. Like, listen, trust, buy. Perfect those, perfect like, perfect listen, perfect trust, and you will sell loads more of your product or service, regardless of what that product or service is. Like, listen, trust, buy. Number two, learn how to speak well. So a lot of people give me loads of good feedback on this podcast. A lot of people seem to enjoy the podcast, to learn from it. I get loads of nice messages saying I've helped them with this and I've helped them with that. Same with my courses and my coaching. I think part of that is how I present my message, how I can coach you on a certain subject, how I position things, how I give you action plans and steps and easy to understand concepts. But a lot of that is not necessarily the words that I say. It is definitely, some of it is the words I say, obviously, but how I say the words, how I emphasize on my speed of my voice, my tonality, when I pause, when I speed up a little bit. All of these things matter, right? Because people will soak in information better if it's presented and communicated and spoken in the right way. So if you perfect how to speak and how to communicate and engage with people, you will sell more of your product or service. It's as simple as that. Another big one, if you're selling anything, is you've got to ask the right questions to establish what the client actually needs. Because if you establish what the client needs, you then present a package, an option, a solution for what that client needs. They're gonna buy, right? They're gonna buy. So let's use an analogy. So there's a really common analogy that's talked about, which is with car salespeople. So older guy walks into a car showroom. He's looking around these Mercedes and he's looking at a really fast Mercedes, right? I don't know much about cars, by the way, he's looking at a really nice Mercedes. Salesperson comes straight over and he starts to talk about how fast this Mercedes is. It's got this engine, it's got these exhausts, it's got a turbo, it's got this, it's got that, right? And he's trying to sell them the car because he's looking at it. However, if that guy has came to that showroom to buy his first car for his daughter, just passed that test at age 18, 17, he doesn't want the fast car. He doesn't want to know how fast it is and the turbo and the engine and the suspension and all that. He doesn't want to know that. He wants a safe car for his daughter. But the salesperson didn't ask the right question, so he's trying to sell him the wrong product to suit what his needs are. That's the wrong way of selling. And a lot of people do that in sales environments. They'll meet somebody, whether it's a face-to-face appointment or a telephone call, and then try and push a product or a service or whatever they're selling straight to the client by telling them the features and benefits. Okay. So what happens if the client wants something completely different? You still have that product that you want in your armory, in your suite of products, right? But you're trying to sell them the wrong thing. By simply asking the right questions early on to determine what the client wants and needs, you then find a solution and you meet what the client needs, you've got a much better chance of selling. So get good at asking questions and make a sales process conversational. It's not just you telling them how great you are and how great your product is. It's conversational. It's a much better way to sell, and you will definitely sell more of your product or service by doing it this way, by making each sales process conversational, finding out what the client wants. So many people get this wrong. The next point is social proof. So there's a really common term now that everybody's aware of and familiar with, which is influencers. Loads of influencers online, right? That's why, people buy off the influence of others. So that's why Kylie Jenner puts a picture of some lipstick on and she'll sell millions and millions of pounds worth of that product. Why is that? Because people want to be like her, people like her, and they are buying the product because she said it's good. They are buying off the influence of somebody else. Okay. So how do you relate that to you in your sales process? Testimonials, reviews, those are all social proof, and those are all ways of people buying a product or service based on the fact that someone else has bought it. Let's say if I rang you up and you didn't know who I was, and I rang you up and I was trying to sell you a product, did an introduction, and I said to you, I've just spoke to your brother and your sister, and they both bought this product or service. I've actually just spoke to your dad as well. He was over the moon with the service. I've even spoke to your best friend just recently, and he was over the moon with the service. Before I've even told you what the product or service is, you are interested. You are interested solely on the fact that someone that you know has bought that product or service. So could you not relate that to your own sales process? Name drop, use reviews, use social proof. Depending upon GDPR, of course, you could tell other people who's bought your product or service. If you've got a brand ambassador or someone to endorse you, how valuable could that be? Because people buy off the influence of others. So use social proof to your advantage and use it to get people to buy more of your product or service. It works. It's proven. Urgency and scarcity. Now, if you can build in urgency and scarcity in the right way to your sales process, people will buy. Deadlines, sales. Why do they happen all the time? It's because they work. There's a lot of research to say that people buy from a sale normally or just before the deadline ends. People go last minute. Don't know why that is, but people maybe don't feel like they don't want to miss out. They just want to make sure they get in before the deadline ends, before the sale ends. So if you can have a deadline on your product or service, this will definitely help. Product knowledge is another good point. So how I relate that to life insurance, that where I made a lot of my money, was if you knew everything about the product, when you asked the right questions, you had answers for any questions that they asked you, but you also knew the ins and outs of the product. You could talk about everything to do with the product, why someone needs it, all the features and benefits. But if you don't upskill yourself and you don't learn your products well enough and know everything about them, there might just be that one client asks you a question and you don't know how to answer it. If a client asks you a question about the product, which is a buying signal, they ask you a question about the product, you don't know how to answer it properly, or you don't answer it properly, you probably lost that sale. So being good with your product knowledge will help get some sales over the line and in turn help you sell more. Simple as that. And the last one is how you close. So if they like you, they've listened to you and they trust you, the close is pretty easy, right? But a simple way to think about a close is you should never give one option. You should never say, this is the price. Do you want to go ahead? Okay. Because when you do that, it's a yes or no answer from the client. However, a much better way of selling is just give them option one and option two, or option A, option B, silver and gold package, gold and platinum package, whatever options, right? Because if you're saying, so we can do this for this much, Mr. Client, or this for this much, Mr. Client, which one do you prefer? Which one would you like to go ahead with? Which one looks best to you? Which one sounds best to you? Whatever. They're just picking one, right? They're picking one. It's not, would you like to go ahead with this one? Because that's yes or no. It's which one would you prefer? And just by options closing your clients, when you get to the close at the end of the process, you will sell more. I guaranteed, I bet you all the money in the world, you will sell more if you options close a client. You can relate that to all sorts of different things. Angel investors, you can say, do you want to do this or that one? Do you want to invest this and on this rate of return, or this on this rate of return? Which one's best to you? You can, if you're selling a coaching package, you can say, do you want to pay annually or monthly? Do you want the 6 month or the 12-month package? If you're selling cars, I don't know, you could say, do you want to go ahead with the standard car? Or do you want all the bells and whistles on? Do you want the service impact, the right, these tires, this color, this whatever? Which one do you want to go for? It's options closing the client. They're not then deciding yes or no. They're deciding which one they prefer. And you're being assumptive that they're going to buy anyway. Because half the time, unless you're cold calling, half the time when you've got them in an appointment, there's some sort of level of interest there anyway. You've just got to close the deal. Okay. So that's my tips on how to sell more. If you've enjoyed what you've listened to, I do have a sales course that's coming out start of September 2023. Sales course is really in detail every single part of the sales process, from how to get referrals to how to build rapport, how to make somebody like you, how to gain trust, how to engage them, how to ask questions, how to persuade, how to negotiate. Really in-depth course. It's coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited to share it with you. So if you like this, watch out for that course being released. I'll announce it on all my social media. It is one of the best sales courses, in my opinion, that you'll come across. I've looked at a lot of them, and a lot of them haven't got half the content and the gems that I'm sharing in there. So keep an eye out for that. If you know somebody in sales or you've got a sales team, please share this podcast with them. It's free, and I'm pretty sure it'll help them. One of those gems I've just shared with you, one of them will struck a chord with them. One of them will be an action point and a learning point. If they implement, they will sell more. Have a fantastic day. Don't just take notes, take action.